Hi, I'm Greg Dell here with attorney Alex Palamara, and we're going to discuss remedies in an ERISA lawsuit, meaning like what can be the potential outcomes once you file an ERISA lawsuit. A lot of people make the assumption that when you sue your disability insurance company after they've denied you, that if you were to win the lawsuit, that you're going to get this guarantee they're going to be on claim forever. So there's multiple remedies that come out of it. Let's talk about each of them moving forward and the pros and cons of each of them and what we try to achieve for a client through a remedy. So what would be the first option that can come out of the filing of an ERISA lawsuit?
Well, there's a few major options that a judge might have if you go all the way to letting a judge decide the outcome of your case. First and foremost, the judge can obviously side with the plaintiff and you win your lawsuit. The judge can decide with the defendant and you lose your lawsuit. Or the judge can do a third thing, which is remand the lawsuit, remand the claim back to the insurance company to do a further review of the claim. Now, if you win the lawsuit, you don't just get benefits to the age of 65 or Social Security retirement age. The judge only has authority to approve benefits from the time that benefits were denied until essentially to the time of the judgment, or sometimes until the time that the medical documentation proves that you're disabled. So the judge ruling in your favor doesn't mean, again, that you get benefits to the end of the policy, because you have to continually prove that you're disabled through the end of the policy. And most people believe that they win the lawsuit, I'm on claim for the rest of my life, for the rest of the terms of the policy, but that's not the case. The fourth outcome of a potential lawsuit is also a settlement. Many lawsuits end up in a settlement, but we have to figure out, before you take a settlement, you have to figure out if this is the best course of action for your claim. Because sometimes it's best to let the judge decide if the claim is so strong that you're going to win the lawsuit, and we can get you those benefits to the time that your medical records prove, and we can continue to prove that you're disabled until the time that you're your retirement age.
And why are we even saying it's a judge decision?
The ERISA laws that govern most of these claims, they did a few things, and one of the things they did was they took the right to a jury trial out of these policies. So no longer can you go and file a lawsuit and prove your case in front of a jury. Now it's in front of a federal judge. The reason why they did this apparently is to keep the cases quicker. A jury trial can take days or weeks at a time. A bench trial, it can take one day. The other reason why they might have done it is because, federal judges tend to be pretty conservative, and I guess I believe that the insurance companies helped pass the ERISA laws, and I think they thought to themselves that if a federal judge is deciding the case, and most federal judges are pretty conservative people to get appointed to these positions, that they're going to be siding more along with the insurance companies.
Okay, so the bottom line is that the judge there's no right to a jury trial, and the judge is going to make the decision. So let's talk about the advantages or disadvantage. Well, there's really not a disadvantage, but what are the risk if you go through trial? Obviously you can lose, you get nothing. If you win and a judge then has a decision to make, or either I'm going to award benefits or I'm going to remand. If the judge awards benefits, is that appealable, and what does that mean?
Of course it's appealable. Just because the judge sides in your favor as a plaintiff does not mean that the check's coming next week. Certainly there's the appellate process. The lower cases in district court, and that's just the first step of your claim. There's appellate courts. The insurance company would appeal to the appellate court saying, we disagree with the decision of the lower court, we're filing an appeal. That could add another year to your claim. Sometimes it's not a guarantee that the insurance company is going to appeal the decision, right, but there's a possibility they could appeal, which again leave your claim kind of on ice. You're not receiving benefits until the appellate court renders a decision. The appellate court can uphold your favorable victory in the lower court, or it could overturn it. And then the next step would be to appeal to the Supreme Court if you lose your appeal, or even the insurance company can appeal to the Supreme Court if they want to.
So time frames, people always ask for that process, a minimum 18 to 24 months to get to a verdict in an ERISA case, an ERISA lawsuit, and then if they appeal, you're looking at a minimum of a year to another 18 months. So, you're minimum 3 years if a case was to be won. A factor to consider if a settlement is an option, because even there's settlements after you win a verdict because of a potential appeal. So the judge also has the option to remand. And to me, remands are very scary, and unfortunately it's more than 50% of the cases. It's one of the only types of cases where the judge has that kind of option. They're going to award it or I'm going to remand. And the remand, why do you see that as a negative?
Well, it gives another bite at the apple for the insurance company to do another review of the claim. The remand is often used when the judge says, oh, the insurance company didn't do this, they should have been afforded the opportunity to do this, or they should have done that. And since they didn't do that, I can't give a full decision on the claim. So let's let the insurance company take one more review at this information that they overlooked, or information they should have looked at, or information that was not provided to them, or whatever it may be. And it just gives the insurance company another attempt or another chance to further solidify their decision to deny the claim. So remands are very scary for that purpose, for that reason alone.
Yeah, because you think you won, and the judge is like, well, I'm not going to award benefits, but I'm going to send it back to the company and let them review based upon what I said. Sometimes it's giving them the roadmap as to how to, review the claim. Then if they do what the judge says, then you got to appeal again. You got to do a whole other ERISA appeal, and then you're back before the judge. And so it's a nasty road if it goes that way. If you do win the case, are attorney's fees a given?
Never a given. The judge has the discretion to award attorney fees to the prevailing party. More often than not, if the judge does award attorney fees, they award it in favor of the plaintiff. Obviously, if the prevailing party is the plaintiff. If you lose your lawsuit, it's not a guarantee that the judge will award attorney's fees in favor of the insurance company. I think the judges realize that it's a single person who probably made an average typical salary going against a multi-billion-dollar company, that it's almost unfair to award attorney's fees in favor of the insurance company, but it's not unheard of. The discretion is in the judge's hands. We do our best to get you attorney's fees if we do prevail on your lawsuit, and more often than not, we do get those attorney's fees if we do prevail.
And then what about on a remand? Is that considered prevailing?
Yes, the judge does have the discretion to order attorney's fees to the plaintiff when the occurrence of a remand occurs. Again, doesn't mean it's guaranteed. I would even say it's 90% of the time, but it's definitely something that we do fight for, and we do get more often than not when there is a remand.
Okay. The other thing I want to talk about, you win the lawsuit. Now, you said earlier you don't get back on claim for the rest of your life. You go back to that month-to-month evaluation. Does that mean that you could litigate for 3 years, win your case, and then the company could cut you off a month later?
I mean, it could be the next month. I mean, if they could be performing reviews during the pendency of the lawsuit. If they know the lawsuit's going downhill, they could start performing new reviews of your claim. Have quote unquote the independent physician reviewers take a look at the medical records that you've submitted for your lawsuit and your claim, and they could be ready, lined up, so that the month after they have to pay you all the back benefits, they're ready to deny you again. And that could happen. It's never happened in any cases that we've worked on.
Right.
But technically it could happen, and then it starts the whole process over again, where you file another appeal, have to go through the entire appellate process, have to go through another lawsuit. It's a crazy situation that potentially could happen. It doesn't happen on a very regular basis with us, but I've read about it happening in the past.
All right, so 90% of these cases end with a settlement. What's the advantage to a claimant to taking a settlement?
Well, it gives certainty where there was no certainty prior. If you win your lawsuit, you get back on claim, the anvil that the insurance company is holding over your head is back again. If there's a settlement, the anvil is taken away. Again, there's certainty. You know what you have. You know what you have in the bank, what you'll be receiving. You don't have to deal with the insurance company anymore. You don't have to prove to the insurance company that you're disabled any longer. So essentially, it gives you, kind of a breath of life, breath of fresh air. You don't have to worry about the insurance company anymore ever again.
A lot of people want to try to do some work, but they're worried while they're disabled, they want to try something, or an opportunity came about, but they're worried that if they do, they'll lose their benefits. If they take a settlement, do they have the ability to go work, or are they going to have to give money back to the company?
If a settlement's taken, you can go to work the next day. I'd wait for the check to clear, and once the check clears, you can do whatever you want. You can go to the insurance company and do backflips in their front yard. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's something you can do, because there's no ticky backsies, as they say in settlements. So yes, you could go back to work the next day. And a lot of people that are disabled are scared to work because the insurance company, they use any evidence they possibly can to hold it against you, to look to deny your claim, and they love to deny claims. But a settlement will give you certainty, allow you to do whatever you want to do in life, whether it is, but maybe you want to attempt to go back to work. Maybe you're not sure whether you can or can't, but the only way to find out is by trying to work a 40-hour-a-week job, and maybe you can actually hack it, maybe you can't. But if there's a settlement, there's no risk of an insurance company denying your claim thereafter.
Right. The other thing that I find is that usually within 6 to 9 months of filing a lawsuit, we're able to determine the maximum settlement offer that we're possibly going to get, which compared to 3 to 4 years for taking a claim all the way while the claimant's not getting paid, can be better for a claimant. It's to pick and choose. Everyone's situation is different as to whether or not a settlement works for them. You're never going to get the money you would have gotten through a settlement that you would get if you were to wait out the duration of the claim, but you do have that level of certainty. I mean, whatever the outcome is that our clients choose, they're the boss at the end of the day. We're going to give a recommendation as to the merits of the case, why we think we can win or not win. And if we accept a case almost every time, we're going to be able to get some kind of settlement offer, which makes it worthwhile for a claimant to get something rather than nothing. And then it becomes a business decision as to whether or not I'm going to risk X amount of dollars to possibly get Y dollars, or I'm going to take my money now and move on, with my life. And that's an analysis that we go through every day, considering the thousands of ERISA lawsuits that we filed. So wherever you're located in the country, feel free to call Alex or any of our disability attorneys. We're going to offer you an immediate free consultation. We're going to review your claim. We're going to let you know if we think we can help you, if it's a case that we think that we can get benefits paid for you. We appreciate you considering us, and we look forward to the opportunity to speak with you.